Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We're Freya and Charlie and we're going to be showing you 3 easy warming winter dinners.
Yes, these are super hearty and perfect for this cold time of year. Great for the winter and autumn months, and we are sure you're going to love them. So should we just get into the first recipe? The first recipe that we've got for you today is our za'atar spiced aubergines with a tomato and chickpea stew. This is a really simple recipe to start. You're going to be cutting some aubergines or eggplants in half and scoring them nice and deeply and popping them into an oven safe tray and drizzling with a good glug of olive oil. Next we're going to go over all of that with some za'atar, and then we're going to rub that za'atar in, and you want to make sure that gets into all of the cracks that we just created by scoring them with our knife. Roast that in the oven at 200 degrees for 45 to 60 minutes, and then we're going to get started on our chickpea stew. So we're going to begin by chopping up some onions. We're going to dice these nice and small, just give them a really good chop. We're just going to simply get these onions sweating in a frying pan of hot oil. Just give them a good stir around as we then move on to getting our garlic prepared. So we're just mashing our garlic in. Of course, you could chop yours, but we like to mash ours, and again, give that a good little cook. And then we're going to add in the chickpeas and water. Don't drain the water from these chickpeas. We want the water as part of the cooking liquid. We're going to add the tomato flavour to this stew with some concentrated tomato paste, and then we're going to go on to the spice mix. We're starting with some cumin to give it that Middle Eastern vibe, some paprika for a bit of heat, some cinnamon for some nice earthy sweetness, and then some chilies just to finish that all off. Give that a good mix in, and then you're going to want to get that onto a heat, just bubbling away. Next we're going to make a nice sort of tangy but spicy, sort of saucy drizzle, creamy drizzle to go over the top of everything. So we're going to start by juicing a lemon and then popping some Oatly vegan creme fraiche into a bowl, and then on top of that we're going to go with the Harissa and that lemon that we just squeezed. Mix everything together really nicely. We found that we did get a few little lumps as we were mixing this together, but if you keep going, everything does smoothen out really nicely. And then just for a nice sort of marbled effect on the top, we're going to put in some harissa and some za'atar back on top of that as well. This looks really nice when you serve it at the table with everything else. So next we're going to chop up some parsley, just roughly. It doesn't have to be super duper fine, just run your knife through it a few times, and then we're going to add that straight into the stew along with some lemon zest to give a really nice sharpness to the dish. We're also going to squeeze that lemon juice in as well. We don't want to waste any of that lemon. And then of course season to taste with a bit of salt and pepper. Give everything another really good mix around and stir it all together. And then we're going in with some spinach. So we've taken the pan off the heat now, and we're using the residual heat that's just in the stew to help wilt the spinach down into it. And that's it. That's the stew completely done. We're going to serve that up, and then on top of that we're going to bring back our gorgeous za'atar aubergines and serve that right on top. You'll know your aubergines are cooked when they're lovely and soft and they look just like ours. So plate up that aubergine on top of the tomato stew, and then we're going to come back in with our creme fraiche and harissa, drizzle and go over the top with a nice drizzle of olive oil, some fresh parsley, a bit of za'atar, and some lovely crusty bread is perfect with this dish. It is super warming and earthy, a perfect delicious cold evening stew. The second recipe that we've got for you today is a black bean and rice bowl. This is very much inspired by Mexican flavors. So to begin, we're just going to get some cashews and soak them in some water. We like to put these on the heat. You could leave them overnight in the fridge just soaking in cold water, but if you've got them on the heat, it will speed that up quite a bit. Then we're going to get some brown rice on the hob as well, just cook that as the packet says. We quite like a chunkier salsa with this kind of bowl, so we've just gone for some little baby tomatoes and chopped them into halves or quarters.
This is quite a large red onion, so we're going to use probably about a quarter, maybe even less, just because we don't really want loads of red onion in this specific recipe. But if you had a smaller onion, you could probably get away with about half.
Once you've got your red onion chopped, we're going to add that into the bowl along with the tomatoes, and then we're going to get on to some herbs. We're going to add in coriander to this salsa. We are just chopping that up nice and finely, and then we're going to add that into the salsa along with a squeeze of lime juice. Don't forget to season. We're going to add in some salt and then simply mix that all together, and your salsa's done, so you can pop that off to one side for now. Next, we're going to get started on the sort of main show of this dish, which is the black beans. So we're going to grab ourselves a few cloves of garlic and crush them into a pan with some hot oil in it. And then we're going to follow that up with some sun-dried tomatoes. We're just going to run our knife through this and give it a nice sort of rough chop before adding it to the pan. Of course, we're going to need the black beans because that's the star of the show, and then we're going to go with some more coriander as well as another squeeze of lime juice. We're going to add our spices to the black beans, so that's cumin and paprika and some dried chilli, and then some salt and pepper as well. You're going to want to get that on the heat and give everything a good stir and cook together, and then we're going to add in some spinach and wilt that down into the black beans. The next thing we're making is a very, very simple guacamole. So we're just going to pop into a small bowl some avocado, some lime juice and some salt, and give everything a mash. We love cashew cream in this dish, so bring back the cashews that we had soaking earlier and add them to a blender or food processor along with some nutritional yeast, cider vinegar, salt, pepper, water, and give that a really good blitz and blend until it's completely smooth. And now we're ready to start plating up the dish. So go down with that brown rice that we started earlier. That's going to be the base of the dish, and then bring in your black beans. So you want a good, nice amount of these black beans, some avocado on there, get the guac on there, and then the chunky salsa that we made earlier as well, the lovely smooth cashew cream, and then last but not least we're going to add on some herbs, some torn coriander over the top, and there you have it, a simple but completely delicious black bean rice bowl.
Our last recipe is another one inspired by Middle Eastern flavours, and it's a delicious roasted carrot recipe with a tasty potato and bean mash. So the first thing that we want to do is roast our carrots. We're using these little kind of mini carrots just because they look nice, but you can use whatever carrots you want. And then we're going to rub them with harissa, olive oil, salt and pepper, and put them in the oven whole as they are to roast. But if you're using bigger carrots, you'd probably want to cut them up into thin strips. Then whilst they are roasting, we're going to prep our potato for the mash. We're cutting it into little cubes just because it's all going to get mashed together and it helps it cook faster. So we're going to put them on the hob in some water and let them boil. Then we're going to move on to the butterbean element, and we're going to make these nice and garlicky. So we're going to just roughly chop up our garlic, and that's going to go in a pan with some oil and cook down for a few minutes. Then you're going to add in your drained tin of butter beans. You could also use cannellini beans and cook that for a few minutes. Ours are already cooked, so it's just kind of heating them through and softening them a bit. And then mash that with a bit of dairy-free milk, some vegan butter, just to make it nice and creamy. Sometimes we use a hand blender just to make sure it's extra smooth and creamy, but a normal masher will do fine. And then we're going to mix the two together, so our cooked potatoes into our nice garlicky butter beans, mash that all so it's nice and combined, and we're going to add in extra garlic granules just because we really want this to be nice and garlicky, along with some nutritional yeast for a slightly cheesy flavour. And then to give it a little bit of a zing and to freshen it up, we're going to add in a squeeze of lemon juice. So then you want to serve this mash on a big old plate. You could also do it on a big platter and have people help themselves if you're doing it for sort of like a dinner party. Top that with a nice soft roasted harissa carrots and some vegan feta and parsley, and then a nice bit of lemon zest just for a bit of tang at the end, and also it just looks really nice. So you could have this for a dinner or a little lunch, or you could, like I said before, do it for a nice big dinner party on a platter, and it will look really impressive on the table.
Thanks so much for watching this video. We really hope you enjoyed the recipes and that you're inspired to make some of them yourselves, and we'll see you in our next video.
Bye.